Most people think they'll cope in a disaster. They won't. Not because they're weak, because they're not prepared for how it actually feels. Calm isn't what disasters usually look like, but it's what I'm trying to create. It's the outcome I want for myself. When people think about disasters, they think about the event, the flood, the fire, the evacuation. What they don't think about is what happens just before it and what happens straight after. That's when most of the damage is done, not just to houses and property, but to people as well. A warning comes, it's not clear, it might be wrong, it might not apply to you, so you wait. You look for confirmation, you check again, you tell yourself you'll decide in a minute. Then the situation changes. Now you have to move quickly, and that's when things start to go wrong. You rush, you forget things, you take things you don't need, you leave things behind that you do, not because you're careless, but because you're under pressure. Under pressure thinking changes. It narrows. You focus on what's right in front of you. You can't hold a plan in your head the way you normally would. Memory becomes unreliable. Simple decisions become difficult. You go back over the same ground trying to be certain, and you lose time. That's not a personal failure. That's just how human minds work. That's why people don't cope as well as they think they will. Calm doesn't come from personality. It doesn't come from being brave. It doesn't come from hoping things will be all right. It comes from deciding in advance what you'll do. By the time you're in it, it's too late to make plans. I live in Australia, in a town called Lismore. In 2022, it flooded higher than had ever been recorded, higher and wider than people thought even possible. Then, 2 weeks later, it flooded again. People who had already cleaned up had to do it all over again. Some left, but many people couldn't. They still had mortgages, jobs, families, pets, and nowhere else to go. That's what it looks like when choices are taken away. I wanted to make my own choices before anything was forced on me. I wanted to be able to get by without losing my dignity. Dignity in this case is very simple. Not having to rely on charity for basic necessities, to have a change of clothes, and to be able to wash myself. I didn't try to predict everything. I did something much simpler. I worked out what I would do in the situations that were most likely to happen. If I decided to leave, where I would go, how I would leave, what I would take and what I couldn't. And I made those decisions in advance. Don't do it because I suggest it. Do it so that it works for you. Your house is different, your risks are different, your body is different. The thinking is what matters. The thinking is the key. When decisions are already made, there's nothing urgent left to decide. You don't need to rush. You don't need to argue with yourself. You don't need to search for things you should have prepared earlier. You just do what you've already decided to do. That is what calm looks like. It isn't dramatic. It isn't impressive. It doesn't make good television, but it's the difference between coping and not coping. Calm isn't something you find in a disaster. It's something you build before it happens.